I want you to, just for a moment, imagine, or at least try to imagine, the entire universe. Of course, we can't take a picture of the entire universe. My iPhone camera is pretty good, but it's not that good. But here is a picture of only one galaxy as seen through the Hubble telescope. And keep in mind that there are up to 2 trillion galaxies in the universe that we know. And this is what that number 2 trillion looks like. 2 times 10 to the 12th power, which means the number 2 followed by 12 zeros. Now, a super galaxy is composed of about 100 trillion stars that are similar to our sun. And this is what the number 100 trillion looks like. It's 1 times 10 to the 14th power, which is the number 1 followed by 14 zeros. And according to NASA, there is more than 1 septillion stars in the whole universe. Now here's what the number 1 septillion looks like. 1 times 10 to the 24th power. That's a 1 followed by 24 zeros. What does all this represent? Well, that there's more stars in the universe than the total number of grains of sand on all the beaches of the earth. Here's a picture of Miami Beach, just to remind you what a beach looks like. So the next time you go to the beach, just think about the grains of sand under your feet, and then multiply that by all the beaches in the world. Then you'll have some idea of our reality in the universe and the extent of God's creative powers. And if you count all the planets and all the moons that are around the stars, the number becomes even more astronomical. And that of all those suns and all those planets that surround them, and all the moons that surround the planets, there's been absolutely no evidence of life found anywhere else in the universe except on the earth. And this doesn't just mean human life, but life of any kind, including insects and bacteria. In this entire universe, there is not one ant running around on some planet or moon that exists anywhere in the universe other than on this planet Earth. And there is no evidence that even one cold germ exists anywhere else except on this planet. Any ideas about life existing anywhere else are strictly theoretical, with no evidence to support them at this time. And if this changes, I will gladly modify my video accordingly. Of course, that's if I'm still here. But not only does the earth have life, but it has it so abundantly. We have intelligent life, not just bacteria and bugs, but human life. Humans that are capable of creating cars and planes and computers and even rocket ships to take them deeper into the universe. It's simply overwhelming to think of the uniqueness of life on Earth. The Greeks, they have a word for such a uniqueness. It's called hapax. It's something that happens only once. And all this made me wonder why God would do such a thing as create this universe and create life in this universe. Perhaps this was just an experiment that God is performing to see how human life would work out in his kingdom. I'm not so sure that God would actually repeat this experiment again based upon the results of the first one. He was pretty upset about what was happening during the days of Noah. We can read from Genesis chapter 6, verse 6 and 7. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But why did he even conceive of creating man in the first place? Well, I think that based upon what we know, or what I know of God, we can conclude that he's a loving God. A God who not only wants to love others, but who also wants to be loved back. And by creating human beings in his very own image, he created a life form that could appreciate his love, so much so that they would return that love to God. This would mean that our primary purpose of existence is to love God as well as to be loved by God. But in order to create beings that were capable of true love, God needed to give them the freedom to choose love. Without this freedom, love would merely be a mechanical emotion and a mere imitation of the love that God was considering. But along with freedom comes the idea of the possibility of rejecting God's love. And this is actually the root of all sin. Sin both distorts and destroys love. This is why it's the enemy of holiness and righteousness. Holiness both accepts God's love and returns it to him from the human heart. And righteousness is the result of that love in our lives. But sin rejects his love and focuses it on the self in the form of lust and selfishness. And we'll dig deeper into this issue on a future video lesson that I plan on making soon. We love God because he first loved us, not only by creating us out of love, but by providing a means of salvation for us. And John says this very thing in his first letter, chapter 4, verse 19. We love him because he first loved us. And in the frequently quoted verse from the Gospel of John, chapter 3, verse 16, says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life." So I think these two verses support my above statement. But we also have Matthew chapter 22, verse 37, that says, Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. And this verse tells us that it is our duty to love God completely. This is the whole purpose of mankind. This is the whole purpose of the law. The uniqueness of our existence is more evidence than we need of God's unique purpose for creating mankind. I think that the fact that life is flourishing here on earth justifies God as a being who not only has the ability to create beauty on such a grand scale, but also has the ability to love and to be loved. When we think of our existence in these terms, I think it gives us a clearer picture of the purpose here, which is not only to love God, but to also allow ourselves to be loved by him. It is the uniqueness of this life, founded in love, that cannot be explained by the theory that things came into existence by means of random accidents. This is how I've come to see God and his creation, but I would love to hear what you think about this subject. Please leave a comment for me as a follow-up. God bless you all, and I look forward to our next video.